State's most watched news starts now.
Good Wednesday morning. Welcome to the KOAM Morning News where it's 5 o'clock. I'm Michael Hayslip. Cloudy and cool right now. We do have some rain that's going to scatter us into the evening and tomorrow morning, but we really won't pick up till tomorrow around the noon hour. Current look at the Skywatch Storm Tracker with that cloud cover. Moon's able to poke out every now and then. It is a beautiful orange if you look off to the west. 46 in Pittsburgh, 48 in Joplin. Let's roll 42 in Miami. Temperatures are about 3-4 degrees apart. That's about the biggest gap that we see right now. And really this afternoon, not too bad. We'll make it up into the 60s by the time we get to our peak hours there, say about 4 or 5 o'clock. Skywatch Storm Tracker with all the big rain staying into the upper plains through the Great Lakes. You can tell lower Midwest for us staying dry, a little high pressure. That low pressure we had yesterday, that's already pushed through. Now, as we make it around the noon hour, still dry. We see a little rain try to scatter its way in for the night, not amounting to anything. But once we get to Thursday morning, then we begin to pick up, takes us into the afternoon hours. That's a good band right there. Just in time for the old drive home. Everything then rolling off towards St. Louis by the time Friday morning sticks around. So for our 7-day forecast, cooler temps on the backside of that. This will be in the 50s on Thursday, but then rebounding Friday, a little Friday evening rain carries us into Saturday. Temperatures, though, over the weekend managing to stay in the 60s. City of Joplin turning 148 years old yesterday, celebrated by remembering one of the buildings that shaped the city's history. You've probably heard of the Connor Hotel, if you lived in the area long enough, and you've probably heard of the tragic tale of its collapse, November 11th, 1978. May not know, though, is the legacy it left behind. The Connor opened in 1908 after 2 years of construction, and the 8-story structure was the place to be for high society in Joplin. Many people stayed in the luxurious hotel, including First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt and President Harry Truman. Dr. Chad Stebbins from Missouri Southern decided to write a book about the Connor Hotel.
It is so meaningful to our past, and it has even more meaning since there's nothing there left. And so how do we tell those stories but through rich stories, and Chad captured that very well.
And it tells the story from beginning to end. The magnificent building that Tom Connor, Joplin's mining king, created, $1 million hotel, had every extravagance known to man at the time.
Took Stebbins 4 years to research the material for his book. Greene County, Missouri prosecutor says a man killed his wife and her parents over the weekend because the in-laws arrived for a visit and, quote, they wouldn't leave. Shooting happened Saturday near Stratford. Just after 6:30, officials say the suspect, 50-year-old Jesse Hugh, called 911 saying he had just killed 3 members of his family at his home. Hugh's charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of 48-year-old Tanya Hugh and her parents, 71-year-old Ronald Kohler and 78-year-old Linda Kohler of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The parents had arrived for a visit after Tanya Hugh's recent back surgery. Douglas County, Kansas officials say a Wichita man who was serving a 12-year sentence for rape might not face a second trial. Here's Sean Logan with the story.
Albert Wilson's attorneys say that this is not the end of this case, and they're working to reach an outcome that doesn't result in another trial. It's after a Douglas County judge last week ruled that Wilson's previous attorney provided ineffective assistance of counsel and thus overturned his 12.5-year prison sentence. Supporters of Wilson gathered outside of the Douglas County Courthouse Tuesday as he walked out with his attorneys. The case, which has gained national attention, dates back to 2016 when the Wichita native and KU student was accused of raping a girl after meeting her at a Lawrence bar and later convicted in 2019. Wilson's new legal team and supporters say in the original trial, Wilson's lawyer didn't introduce text message evidence that could have resulted in a different outcome, and there was no physical evidence of a sexual assault. Tuesday, a judge granted Wilson's pretrial release en banc.
We're going to let the process play out. Albert's a little overwhelmed. He knows what the case has meant. He's also respectful of the fact that there are people on the other side of this that have a different perspective, even though we disagree with it. So he has carried himself with strength and honor and class all the way through.
The Douglas County District Attorney, who was not part of the DA's office when this case was tried, says during Tuesday's hearing she is also looking to come to a resolution before another trial. Wilson's next court appearance is scheduled for May 13th.
Sean Logine in Douglas County, Kansas. Pittsburgh State University is going online with its new degree option. It's an Association of Applied Science in Career and Technical Education. This degree is for people who would like to teach in their current career field at a high school or community college.
And some actually will complete it within a year time frame. But it really depends on the credit hours that they have coming in. And we just help them to develop a plan that they can really get through and get finished with it.
Try to get me on the right path for my career, or to achieve my associates and working on towards my bachelor's, of course. They're just so helpful, helping me plan that, the ease in communication.
New program officially starts this fall. Missouri Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe says he will not be joining Eric Greitens on the ballot for Senator Roy Blunt's seat. Blunt deciding to retire, but Kehoe does have his eyes on another prize. Kehoe's planning to run for Missouri governor to replace term-limited Governor Mike Parson. 5:07 and Skywatch Storm Tracker with light cloud cover. I wouldn't exactly say it's overcast on this Wednesday morning, but we stay at least on the dry side, and our temperature is going to make it up a little bit higher there than in between those hours. We're going to throw some 60s up on the board, and remember, we get to enjoy a now relatively dry morning. You can see a little scattered rain begin to work in tonight, but really it's after midnight that we begin to pick up, and that's going to carry us all the way through Thursday afternoon until it pushes off for the evening hour. Cooler on the backside of it as our temperatures will drop down to the 50s on Thursday, and we're right back into the 60s from Friday into the weekend. That's a morning look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Carl Junction Bulldogs on the field take on the Monette Cubs. We've got your highlights. Why the COVID vaccine could be the answer for people facing prolonged coronavirus symptoms, and renewed calls for gun control. Reaction to President Biden's push for gun reform legislation. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Carl Junction Bulldogs 2-0 to start the baseball season. CJ beat Lebanon and Neosho over the weekend to open up the schedule. Outscored those two teams 24-2 yesterday. Bulldog back on the field to face Monette. Do so at Joe Becker Stadium in Joplin. Top of one. Tanner Wright, ground ball to third. Put the ball in play, good things happen. Good enough for an RBI ground out for Monette. Jason Garner comes home. Cubs up by one. Bottom of the third now. Noah Southern out to left center field. Look at this. Southern ain't stopping. Inside the park homer. Bulldogs now have a lead, 2-1. Oh, base running right there in the fourth. Dylan Eck steals third, and then Jordan Woodruff brings home Eck. Single to the left side. CJ leads by 2. After that, Drew Byard line drive into right field. That brings home Woodruff and Cole Stewart. And CJ not done. Southern again drops one into center field, brings home 2 more runs. Carl Junction wins this thing 3-zip. That was a great, 10-5, excuse me. They're up 3-zip. There's some nice pitching, too. Beat Monette 10-5. Pittsburgh State Gorillas off to a 4-2 start in conference play. They are back to MIAA play on Friday at Missouri Southern. But first, Gorillas at home yesterday for a non-conference doubleheader against Southeastern Oklahoma. Scoreless in the second. That's when Cammie Zimmerman into the trees. 3-run shot to left center. Gorillas up 3-0 next inning. We got our runner on for Paxton Hayes. Get up in that jet stream. Whoo! First of 2 homers in the game for Hayes. Pitt State now up 5-0. Southeast Oklahoma would force extra innings in the 8th. Cheyenne Mahey, 2 on, dead center. Gone. Ball flying out of the park last night. Savage Storm take game 1 over Pitt State. Final score 10-7. In game 2, Pittsburgh State trying to avoid the sweep, but the Gorillas only managed to get 1 across home plate, fall 6-1. Next up for Pitt State, hitting the road on Friday. That is that MIAA play that resumes with a doubleheader against Missouri Southern. Former Joplin High School running back Isaiah Davis, the Missouri Valley Conference Newcomer of the Week. He's a freshman at South Dakota State in his first start Saturday against Southern Illinois. Davis rushed for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns on 22 carries. Caught up with him yesterday to talk about this big game and earning that conference recognition.
You know, things played in my favor. The odds came my way, and I got a chance to go and show out. And again, I just try to take advantage of every opportunity that I get. And like I said earlier, I'm just blessed to be able to play at South Dakota State as a running back. You know, some kids have opportunity to play college football and to play on Saturdays, afternoons, and mornings, and have the ability to play on TV. The guys that go work every day is just a blessing.
Got our full interview with Isaiah Davis on our sports page, KOAMnewsnow.com. After just 2 games, Kansas Jayhawks out of the NCAA tournament as KU got thrown around by USC Monday night. Lost 85-51 in round 2. USC couldn't miss. 57% from the field. Kansas shot half of that, 29%. Made 18 of 62 shots. Worst NCAA tournament loss ever for KU.
They were obviously more prepared. They played better, coached better. We shot it miserably, and it's going to be hard to score for us over that length regardless. And they shot it unbelievably well. That's about as poor as we can play, and I'm sure Andy would say that's, you know, certainly one of their better moments, better games. So it was a bad combination all the way around for us.
Morning news. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News. 6 new emergency housing facilities on track to open as more unaccompanied minors show up at the border every day. And a check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Sitting on 517, so let's roll some weather on the 7s. I want to point out the barometer holding steady, and that's because the low pressure system that was just to the west of us yesterday has now moved on the north side of Kansas City. And behind that, kind of bookending, a couple of high pressure systems ranging from the coast just to the east side of the Rockies right there. And so our cloud cover, while we do have a little bit of it, not widespread by any means, the moon's able to actually penetrate every now and then. Not like the heavy stuff that we're seeing down right there, and you know, get that dark white. That's pretty much overcast. But it is going to be one of those we're not going to have a whole lot of action at sunrise. Flood warning for the Osage River stretching all the way into Friday morning now. We have been able to lift the flood warnings that were previously there for the Little Osage and the Marmonton from yesterday. Got some snow there in the Four Corners section. Everything for the Upper Plains and Great Lakes staying as rain, and not a whole lot of difference temperature-wise no matter where you are on this Wednesday morning. 48 in Lamar, 45 right now in Welch, and 46 in both Fort Scott and Nevada. Wind has shifted a little bit, coming in from the southwest, and with that swirl right there, no longer in from the southeast. And not bad gust numbers coming out of Chanute, Nevada, up all the way to 23 miles per hour. Our weather trend is actually going to have some 60s thrown in here this afternoon. We'll go with partly cloudy skies. Not a whole lot of break with those clouds. It's going to stay dry for the most part through this morning. By the time we get into this evening, then we see some light scattered rain, but really the action doesn't pick up till after midnight as we roll into Thursday morning. And we see it develop down to the south right there. Wants to increase as we get into Thursday afternoon. Good band right there. Really strongest rain looks like it's going to be from about 1 p.m. to say 7, 8 o'clock before it finally pushes out to the west. Going to be cooler on Thursday, only going to be in the 50s, but then we'll be back into the 60s there for Friday and Saturday. Chances for scattered rain on both of those days as well. Not as widespread as what we will see tomorrow. Time now to turn our attention to our spring break sweepstakes. This morning, the opportunity to win that prize just for watching us here on the KOAM Morning News. Now, as you're watching the show this morning, be on the lookout for what we call the code word. And once the code word's been announced, all you have to do is go to KOAMnewsnow.com/code word, enter it, and you will have a chance to win some prizes from our good friends at Indigo Sky Casino. Going to want to make sure you enter before the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 ends. So you got until 8 a.m. Miss it today, don't worry. You'll have another shot at it tomorrow and Friday with a brand new code word. On the KOAM News Now Facebook page this morning, President Biden addressing the nation following 2 fatal shooting rampages within a week, saying his heart goes out to the victims, consoling the nation as he has throughout his career. But he also made it crystal clear he wants new legislation and is calling on lawmakers to act. Phil Mattingly with the story.
We have to act.
President Joe Biden faced with a familiar crisis and calling for urgent action.
I don't need to wait another minute, let alone an hour, to take common sense steps that will save the lives in the future.
The 10 shot and killed in Boulder, Colorado, the second deadly mass shooting in as many weeks. With flags at the White House dropping to half-staff again and thrusting back to the forefront an issue Biden has worked on with limited success for years: gun control.
This is not and should not be a partisan issue. This is an American issue.
Pressure building from Democrats, including former President Barack Obama, who released a lengthy and pointed statement saying it is long past time for those with the power to fight this epidemic of gun violence to do so, and calling those opposed cowardly. Biden today urging the Senate to act on House-passed background check legislation.
The United States Senate, I hope some are listening, should immediately pass the 2 House-passed bills that close loopholes in the background check system.
And pressing for lawmakers to reinstitute an assault weapons ban.
I got that done when I was a senator. It passed. It was law for the longest time. And it brought down these mass killings. We should do it again.
But for now, a push with no clear legislative path forward. A dynamic on full display on Capitol Hill this morning.
Every time there's a shooting, we play this ridiculous theater,
where Republicans and Democrats remain as far apart as ever on any solution.
We need to do more than reflect. We need to act. We need to show that we care and prevent the next mass shooting if we can.
The Democrats who want to take away the guns from those potential victims would create more victims of crimes, not less.
Those like Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia, who is a centrist and he favors less restrictive compromises than the Manchin-Toomey bill. He and Republican Senator Pat Toomey, they created their bill in the aftermath of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. Our specific question for you: should there be more gun control? Let us know why or why not, and take part in our Insta poll. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Get to some of your comments. Health Watch next.
Topping Health Watch this morning, some who had prolonged effects from COVID-19 say they're experiencing an unexpected benefit from their coronavirus vaccine. Symptom improvement, even relief. Mandy Gaither has more.
For COVID-19 long haulers plagued with prolonged symptoms like fatigue and brain fog, it's been a long road. But for some, the coronavirus vaccines are helping.
I could focus, I could see, my sinuses cleared up. It was wonderful. And also the fatigue lifted.
Rebecca Neff says she suffered from continuous COVID-19 symptoms until getting a first dose of the Pfizer coronavirus vaccine.
The next day I woke up and my head was clear. I had not realized how foggy it was even on good days.
We were prepared for everything, except for this.
Diana Barrett is founder of the nonprofit Survivor Corps organization, a group of about 160,000 people that links COVID survivors with information. Barrett did an informal and unscientific poll of COVID-19 long haulers and their experience with the vaccine. Of the nearly 700 people who responded, she says 39% reported their symptoms improved after the vaccine.
Anywhere from, mild symptom improval to complete resolution of symptoms. That we can't say that about anything to date.
Barrett says not everyone had the same result. 46% of long haulers polled had no change in symptoms after the vaccine, and 15% said symptoms worsened. While more research is needed, some COVID long haulers have hope.
I still feel pretty good, and so in another 2 to 3 weeks, I will hopefully get the second one.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
In February, the National Institutes of Health announced that it would spend more than $1.1 billion over 4 years to study the effects of long-term COVID-19. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Skies today after sunrise at 7:15. Wind is currently in the middle of a little shift. It'll come in from the west, not as blustery as it was yesterday. Really should be a quiet morning until we begin scattered rain tonight and then pick up the action after midnight in through Thursday morning. We'll be back right after this.
Joplin puts the spotlight on one of its most well-known buildings for the city's 148th birthday. Plus new information in a Greene County, Missouri triple homicide and why a new degree program at Pitt State could make it easier to enter the education field.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. A chance of rain later today and in the afternoon. And then the wind comes. Here's Michael with a check on your forecast.
Hasn't been too bad so far. Clean Skywatch Storm Tracker. This is light cloud cover. Still able to see a shot of the moon, just not clear. And our temperatures real close together. Not a wide gap at all. 46 in Neosho, 48 in Joplin, Russell, 46 in Neodesha, and 45 in Independence. High pressure system, kind of hanging, bookending what's in between right here. Everything staying up in the upper plains, not going to affect us. We'll actually pay attention down south here by the time we get to tonight into tomorrow morning. Our weather trend going to lift us up into the high 50s. We'll throw 60 up every now and then. Probably see about 62 to 64 for this afternoon, but it is going to be a partly cloudy day. As far as future track, like I said, we'll see just a little scattered variety for the evening hours. That's nothing to really write home about. But now as we get to Wednesday and Thursday, turn that clock into midnight and we begin to pick up action. Starts off as light scattered rain, but for Thursday afternoon, then we get a good band that rolls up from the south. Really from about 2 p.m. to say 7 p.m. Looks like it's going to be the hardest rain. Then we clear off. Cold front on the backside of it. Thursday is going to be a little bit chilly as well, back down to the 50s. But then Friday and Saturday, not looking too bad temperature-wise. Yeah, we got some scattered rain right there, but at least we're able to make it up into the high 60s. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Michael. Looks like it'll be nice and warm. Well, the city of Joplin turned 148 years old yesterday, and it's celebrated by remembering one of the buildings that shaped the city's history. You probably heard of the Connor Hotel, if you lived in Joplin long enough, and you've probably heard the tragic tale of its collapse on November 11th, 1978. But what you may not know is the legacy it left behind. Opening in 1908, after 2 years of construction, the 8-story structure was the place to be for the high society folks in Joplin. Many people stayed in the luxurious hotel, including Eleanor Roosevelt and Harry Truman. Dr. Chad Stebbins from MSSU decided to write a book about the Connor Hotel.
Meaningful to our past, and it has even more meaning since there's nothing there left. And so how do we tell those stories but through rich stories, and Chad captured that very well.
And it tells the story from beginning to end. The magnificent building that Tom Connor, Joplin's mining king, created, $1 million hotel, had every extravagance known to man at the time.
It took Stebbins 4 years to research all the material for the book. I'd like to check that out. In 1978, when the Connor Hotel collapsed a day early during demolition, 2 workers were killed, but days later a third man, Alfred Summers, was found alive buried in the rubble. We talked with Summers about that experience in a special report that aired on KOAM News in 2009, and you'll find a link to that report in this story at KOAMnewsnow.com. A look back. The Greene County, Missouri prosecutor says a man killed his wife and her parents over the weekend because the in-laws arrived for a visit and they wouldn't leave. The shooting happened Saturday near Stratford just after 6:30 p.m. The officials say the suspect, 50-year-old Jesse Hugh, called 911 saying he had just killed 3 of his family members at his home. Hugh was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of 48-year-old Tanya Hugh and her parents, 71-year-old Ronald Kohler and 78-year-old Linda Kohler of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The parents had arrived for a visit after Tanya Hugh's recent back surgery. Pittsburgh State University is going online with its new degree option. It's an Associate of Applied Science and Career and Technical Education degree. It's for people who'd like to teach in their current career field at a high school or community college.
And some actually will complete it within a year time frame. But it really depends on the credit hours that they have coming in, and we just help them to develop a plan that they can really get through and get finished with it.
Try to get me on the right path for my career, or to achieve my associates and working on towards my bachelor's, of course. They're just so helpful, helping me plan that, the ease in communication.
The new program officially starts this fall. Starting next week, all Oklahomans 16 and older will be eligible for a COVID-19 vaccine. The state made the announcement yesterday. This will open up eligibility to 500,000 Oklahomans older than 16, but those under 18 will be slightly more limited. The Pfizer vaccine is the only vaccine that has been approved for 16 and 17-year-olds. The Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines are approved for those ages 18 and older. All adults in Missouri will be eligible for COVID-19 vaccinations on April 9th. In the meantime, Freeman Hospital continues to work to get all eligible Missourians vaccinated now. On Thursday, Freeman Health System will host a vaccine clinic. It's by appointment only, and you can make an appointment by calling 502-SHOT. Again, that's 502-SHOT. You can also register on Freeman's website. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Jesse brings us another Wildcat Wednesday.
We're here in Farlington, Kansas, where we're learning all about what it takes to be a pond manager and also what it takes to run a hatchery. We'll have that for you coming up.
Plus, the crisis at the southern border continues. A look at the new measures taken to help manage the influx of migrants. First, it's 5:37.
We've got sunrise, 7:15, partly cloudy skies today, just west breeze. It's not going to be bluster or anything like that. Still do have a flood warning for the Osage River in the northern part of southwest Missouri that stretches until Friday. Pick up some light rain tonight, but we really begin here tomorrow morning through the afternoon hours. Heaviest rain looks like it's going to be from about 2 to 7 p.m. tomorrow, and only in the 50s. The weekend's not looking too bad, though, even with scattered rain, able to go high 60s on Friday and Saturday. Be back with World Watch next.
Topping World Watch, U.S. Border Patrol says it's encountering about 530 unaccompanied minors every day as migrants continue to stream into the U.S. There are now new measures being taken to help bring the situation at the border under control. Elise Preston has more.
Desperate for a better life, these small children with big book bags are making the long trek from Guatemala to the U.S. There are so many migrants at the border. The Biden administration is on track to open 6 emergency housing facilities, like these 2 sites in San Antonio, Texas.
We're talking about, how will we handle security, who would be the food provider. It's a humanitarian effort. It's not a permanent solution.
There are around 16,000 unaccompanied minors at various U.S. sites. While the White House has said the border is closed, exceptions are being made for kids. President Biden says his administration is working on a plan.
The last administration dismantled all we had put in place relative to dealing with the problems in country. And we'll have something to say about that very shortly.
The GOP pointing back at the White House and urging media access to shelters.
They're hoping nobody sees the tragic human cost of their failed policies.
The small town of Gila Bend, Arizona is scrambling to figure out how it can handle an influx of migrants being brought in by Customs and Border Protection. This week, the mayor declared a state of emergency.
Just talking with the migrants, they said this is just the beginning, and that's straight out of their mouths.
Customs, Border and Protection tells CBS News it is processing migrant families, but with such a strain on the system, some are being released without notices to appear in court. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
The Washington Post reports it has analyzed data from U.S. Customs and Border Protection and determined what's happening at the border is not necessarily abnormal or unexpected. It says, quote, the current increase in apprehensions fits a predictable pattern of seasonal changes in undocumented immigration combined with the backlog of demand because of 2020's coronavirus border closure. NASA offers a sneak peek of the planned flight of its Ingenuity helicopter on Mars. Ingenuity landed on Mars back on February 18th, making its way to the red planet while attached to NASA's Perseverance rover, which is on a mission to search for traces of ancient microbial life on the planet. NASA scientists say the launch of Ingenuity would be the culmination of a difficult 60-year journey. We wish it the best. Prince Harry lands a new job. According to the Wall Street Journal, the Duke of Sussex has joined the staff of a Silicon Valley startup. He's now the Chief Impact Officer at BetterUp, which offers coaching and mental health services to its clients. The company's website lists Harry as part of its leadership team and calls him, quote, humanitarian, military veteran, mental wellness advocate, and environmentalist. What a title. Harry is expected to have input into product strategy decisions and charitable contributions and advocate publicly on topics related to mental health. An 85-year-old man in Peru celebrates getting his COVID-19 vaccine by dancing. Jose Luis Macedo in Lima, Peru, received the first dose of his Pfizer vaccine at a local health center on Monday. He was spotted dancing for joy afterwards, told the press that he's looking forward to going back to the club and returning to the dance floor. Well, he's got the moves. He should. Macedo credits his dancing ability to his healthy eating habits, being a non-smoker, and staying alcohol-free. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Tanya. On the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, President Biden calling on Congress to enact new laws regulating weapons, large capacity magazines, and also expanding background checks. Our question to you is, should there be more gun control? Casey Haugerty says a gun's a gun. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. Doesn't matter what kind of gun, but yet the individual pulling the trigger is the only factor that's an issue. A person that's willing will always find a way. Fred Wayne says enforce the laws we have now. Quit creating new laws and adding stuff to it that doesn't apply. And Greg Street, no matter how many laws they add, the criminals don't abide by the laws and could get a weapon of any kind at any time if they just have the money or steal them. We got William Maroney saying assault is an action. And it's a long one, but I find it very interesting. And I'm going to scroll up here to Eric Steele. Eric says, I'm going to keep harping on this until both sides of the political aisle stop the partisan bleep and start focusing on finding real solutions to all crime and violence, not just obsessively focusing on firearms while being blinded to everything else. Want to stop the violence, Eric asks? Then focus on the cause. There are ways to address the issues, but it involves getting at the root of the cause of violence and crime. And Eric goes on to give examples there of what he's talking about. As far as our Insta poll goes this morning, just got an update here. 57% of you say no new gun control. You can make your voice heard by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Also this morning, the opportunity to win some prizes for watching the KOAM Morning News. It is our Spring Break Sweepstakes. Now, as you're watching, be on the lookout for what we call the code word. And once the code word's been announced, you just go to KOAMnewsnow.com/code word and enter it for a chance to win prizes from our friends at Indigo Sky Casino. Want to make sure that you enter before we wrap up on Fox 14. That means you got until 8 a.m. If you do miss it today, we'll have another shot at it tomorrow and Friday with a brand new code word. Be back with the news you need to know before you head out the door right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The mass shooting in Colorado came a week after 8 people were gunned down in Georgia. President Biden called on Congress to enact new laws regulating assault weapons and large capacity magazines. The president said the federal assault weapons ban that expired in 2004 should be renewed. Greene County, Missouri prosecutor says a man killed his wife and her parents over the weekend because the in-laws arrived for a visit and they would not leave. The shooting happened Saturday near Stratford. Just after 6:30 p.m., officials say the suspect, 50-year-old Jesse Hugh, called 911 saying he had just killed 3 of his family members at his home. Hugh is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of 48-year-old Tanya Hugh and her parents, 71-year-old Ronald Kohler and 78-year-old Linda Kohler of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The parents had arrived for a visit after Tanya Hughes' recent back surgery. The city of Joplin turned 148 years old yesterday, and it's celebrated by remembering one of the buildings that shaped the city's history. You've probably heard of the Connor Hotel. If you've lived in Joplin long enough, and you've probably heard the tragic tale of its collapse on November 11th, 1978. But what you may not know is the legacy it left behind. It opened in 1908 after 2 years of construction. The 8-story structure was the place to be for the high society folks in Joplin. Many people stayed in the luxurious hotel, including Eleanor Roosevelt and Harry Truman. Dr. Chad Stebbins from MSSU decided to write a book about the Connor Hotel. Pittsburgh State University is going online with its new degree option. It's an Associate of Applied Science and Career and Technical Education degree. It's for people who'd like to teach in their current career field at a high school or community college. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Partly cloudy skies to begin our Wednesday. We are dry. We also have a flood warning that is for the Osage River, lasting all the way until Friday. Our day planner, we'll get some sunshine here. It's not gonna be full because clouds will stick around. Winds already shifting, coming in from the west. Then we really begin to pick up rain overnight into Thursday, lasting really the hardest rain from Thursday afternoon to about 7, 8 o'clock. Be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this. Time now to announce our spring break sweepstakes code word. Today's code word is watch. WATCH, watch. Head to KOAMnewsnow.com/code word, enter watch, and that's going to enter you for a chance to win a special prize from our friends at Indigo Sky Casino. Now make sure you do it before the end of the morning news over on Fox 14, because once we hit 8 a.m., the word watch expires. However, don't worry, we will come back and we're going to roll it again tomorrow and on Friday. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page. Our Something to Talk About this morning. Should there be more gun control? We'll resume our comments with Colt Lackey, who says, good thing Missouri signed a bill. Tell him to kick rocks. Laura Atkinson says, absolutely not. More gun control means less control of my constitutional right to bear arms. The elite in Washington wants to once again take away our rights while they're surrounded by a fence and armed guard. Kurt Alford said, an assault rifle is fully automatic, a machine gun. Automatic firearms have been severely restricted from civilian ownership since 1934. Our Insta poll this morning sits up to 61% saying no new gun control. Now, over to Jesse in Studio K.
Well, it is a Wildcat Wednesday, and this morning we are out here at the Farlington State Fish Hatchery. We're joined by James and Adavin with K-State Wildcat Extension. It's a little chilly, but I'm excited to be out here with you guys because we're talking pond management. Is that right? Explain, when we hear the term pond management, what does that mean?
Pond management covers everything from stocking ponds, fish management, feeding fish, as well as controlling aquatic plants, and also it can include pond construction and maintenance.
So when we talk about how to be a good pond manager, these are private ponds we're specifically talking about here. What are the main keys to being a successful pond manager?
And so a large part of it is weed control. That's probably the main question that we get. Okay. And so with weed control, you're kind of looking at various herbicide options. Maybe you're looking at a biological control, like a grass carp or something like that. And also when it comes to the fish species that you're putting into the pond or which fish species you currently have.
Now, David, I know you and James have put together this program that Wildcat Extension's offering about pond management. Can you explain who's going to be there, who's going to be involved, what's happening?
Yeah, May 4th and 5th, we'll have 2 pond management workshops coming up. We have a really great lineup of speakers. Dan Mosier will be one of the speakers. He'll be talking about pond stocking and fish feeding and management. We also have the wildlife specialist from K-State coming down to talk about aquatic weed and plant control. And then we'll also have the NRCS office joining us to talk about pond construction.
Awesome. All right, well, we're going to have that info on our website. Is there anything else people should know about this program?
The program is free. The first one will be on May 4th, and that'll be in Independence, and the the second one on May 5th, and that will be in Humboldt at the Neosho River Park.
Awesome. James, David, thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. We're going to be speaking with Dan Mosier II here at the hatchery in a little bit, so don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back on the KOAM Morning News after this.
Sunrise at 7:15. Wind is currently in the midst of shifting, eventually going to come in from the west, just 5 to 10 miles per hour. It's a little bit bluster out. We've picked up some gusts about 25 miles per hour already this morning. Partly cloudy skies with temps up into the 60s. Get a nice little quiet start to our morning. A little scattered rain for tonight. But there, as we turn the clock in the Thursday morning, we begin to not only pick up more widespread rain, but then we got a good band that's going to work in for the afternoon hours, carry us into Thursday night before it clears off. Cooler on Thursday as well, only in the 50s. But then a nice little rebound up on the thermometer, 60s on both Friday and Saturday. Scattered rain there as well. And then for Sunday and Monday, finally a chance to not have to worry about any rain. Be right back after this.
Joplin puts the spotlight on one of its most well-known buildings for the city's 148th birthday. Plus new information in a Greene County, Missouri triple homicide and why a new degree program at Pitt State could make it easier to enter the education field.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. A cloudy, cool day ahead of us and then more rain this evening into tomorrow morning. Here's Michael with a check on your forecast.
Thank you, Tanya. We'll start with the shimmering lights in the background there. A live look from our tower cam outside of the mothership where we sit at 45 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Barometer has steadied out because that low pressure system that was hanging over central Kansas that affected us yesterday has moved up on the north side of Kansas City. Not the heavy cloud cover, still able to get a little shot of the moon here. 46 in Lamar, 44 in Welch. How about 45 in Monette, 47 in Chinook? Everybody grouped nice and tight together. All the action really staying for the upper plains. Even got some snow in the Four Corners right there. Now, how's that for late March for them? But for us, everything's going to continue up to the northeast. We'll keep our eyes on what develops here down by the Red River throughout the course of our Wednesday. Even with the partly cloudy skies, going to have temps that are going to be up into the 60s here a little bit later on. As far as the action, well, we begin tonight. It doesn't amount to much. It's really once we get ready to turn to midnight right there. As I said, everything's going to come out of the south. Thursday, scattered variety, but now Thursday afternoon, now we're picking up some heavy rain. That's going to have some thunder and lightning with it as well. And remember, we've still got a flood warning up here for the Osage River until Friday. So we're going to be able to add to our rivers. Not going to be surprised if we don't have a couple of them re-emerge because we were able to cancel the ones for the Marmonton and the Little Osage just earlier this morning. Cooler Thursday with the heaviest rain really from about, say, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then we finally clear off Friday, back into the high 60s. Saturday, some scattered showers, but temperatures not too bad at all, up to 67.
Hey, I like those temperatures.
Yeah, can't beat the temperatures. Just a matter of dodging the rain here for the next couple of days.
We can handle that. Everybody likes a little mud here and there.
Yeah.
Right? My backyard. Oh my goodness. All right, thanks, Michael. Joplin celebrates its 148th birthday by revisiting the history of the Connor Hotel. A reception last night featured a presentation from Dr. Chad Stebbins. He's an MSSU professor and author of a book about the Connor Hotel.
Memories all came rushing through when I read this book, and there were quite a few of them. I was a part of Joplin's centennial in 1973, and we had one of our we had two events there at the Connor Hotel. One was a beard growing contest, and that got rather raucous.
Beard growing contest. KOAM's Chris Warner spoke to Stebbins and a local historian about the work that went into creating the book and the Connor Hotel's history.
November 11th, 1978, the day the Connor Hotel collapsed.
Well, so many people remember where they were in 1978 when the Connor Hotel collapsed prematurely just prior to a scheduled demolition.
Dr. Chad Stebbins from MSSU decided to write a book about the Connor because people need to remember its legacy.
This book tells the story of how it originated, the $1 million that Mr. Connor spent building it, all the extravagances that went into it, all the famous people who stayed there.
Brad Belk, Joplin's community historian, says those stories are what matter the most.
It is so meaningful to our past, and it has even more meaning since there's nothing there left. And so how do we tell those stories but through rich stories, and Chad captured that very well.
But he didn't capture it overnight.
A few years ago, I started wondering, well, is there enough material to write a book about the Connor? And I started doing my research, and it turns out there was far more than enough.
It took 4 years of grueling research to track down all the stories the Connor had to share.
The Connor Hotel was so important in people's lives in the sense of either they were eating, dining, dancing, seeing loved ones there. It was, when I think of the clubs, it started the Joplin Historical Society, the Rotary Club. Our organizations began there, and they held their meetings.
Stebbins hopes his book will keep alive the city's lost history.
Well, so many people today really have a regret that the Connor was torn down in 1978. They sure wish that the building could have been saved, that along with the Keystone Hotel across the street. It'd be so fantastic if we could have these legacies from yesterday still standing at 4th and Main.
In downtown Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Well, Stebbins says you can buy the book online through Amazon. Greene County, Missouri prosecutor says a man killed his wife and her parents over the weekend because the in-laws arrived for a visit and they wouldn't leave. The shooting happened Saturday evening near Stratford. Just after 6:30, officials say the suspect, 50-year-old Jesse Hugh, called 911 saying he had just killed 3 of his family members at his home. Hugh is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of 48-year-old Tanya Hugh and her parents, 71-year-old Ronald Kohler, and 78-year-old Linda Kohler of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The parents had arrived for a visit after Tanya Hugh's recent back surgery. Pittsburgh State University is going online with its new degree option. It's an Associate of Applied Science and Career and Technical Education degree. It's for people who'd like to teach in their current career field at a high school or community college.
And some actually will complete it within a year time frame. But it really depends on the credit hours that they have coming in, and we just help them to develop a plan that they can really get through and get finished with it.
Try to get me on the right path for my career, or to achieve my associates and working on towards my bachelor's, of course. They're just so helpful, helping me plan that, the ease in communication.
The new program officially starts this fall. Missouri Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe says he will not be joining Eric Greitens on the ballot for Senator Roy Blunt's seat, but he does have his eyes on another prize. Kehoe says he plans to run for Missouri governor to replace term-limited Governor Mike Parson. 6:07.
Temperatures today are going to be in the mid-60s. Waiting on sunrise. It'll be here at 7:15. Partly cloudy skies. Rain really doesn't kick in until late tonight after midnight. It's going to be a wet Thursday. Thunderstorm activity, especially during the afternoon and evening hours, just in time for the commute. Probably lasts from about 2 to say 7, 8 p.m. tomorrow.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, college applications.
The pandemic is changing who applies to colleges and universities across the country. I'm Naomi Ruckham with how campuses may look this fall.
Plus a warning from U.S. officials. Sharing your vaccine card on social media could make you a target. And our own Jesse Irwin continues with this Wildcat Wednesday, where we learn all about pond management. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. In Money Watch this morning, the number of applications submitted to U.S. colleges and universities surged this year compared to last. Because of the pandemic, many schools gave students more time to apply and even made it optional whether to submit the ACT and SAT. But will that change who gets in? Naomi Ruckham breaks it down.
Talk to most any high school senior and you'll probably hear a story like this one from Tessa Ransom.
The ACT was canceled 3 times and I was relocated out of state 3 hours away from my house.
That pushed the majority of colleges and universities to make standardized testing optional this year. And according to the most widely used college application website, Common App, what followed was 11% more college applications. Avery Schwartz applied to 12 with no test scores.
I saw that I could apply to higher level schools like Cornell and have them more focus on, they said they wouldn't penalize it at all.
Common App's Jenny Ricard says the pandemic shined a light on admission practices that may have been excluding students.
So many of them have changed their evaluation process. And I think as a result, they're going to learn a tremendous amount about other predictors of success.
Common App found large selective universities like Cornell and NYU had 17% more applications compared to last year, many coming from minority students who are often underrepresented. Common App also found fewer applications came from first-generation college students this year, likely because of the pandemic.
So those kids who are filling out and completing federal financial aid forms, that's down 9%, which is a pretty substantial chunk.
Yari Martinez's family has struggled financially this past year, but having the first-generation college student apply was a priority.
My family's always pushed me to continue doing school. Even if we're not financially okay, we can still help you out some way or another.
She applied to 4 colleges and so far has been accepted to 3. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
Some students are still choosing to turn in test scores because they feel it will give them an edge. Many schools that went test optional this year have indicated they will stay test optional for a few years. Retail alcohol sales have fallen for the first time since COVID-19 started spreading across the U.S. roughly a year ago, forcing Americans to stay home. And that's according to new data from Nielsen. The research firm says total sales dropped 1.9% for the week ending March 13th. In March of last year, many bars and restaurants began closing their doors or reducing service amid shelter-in-place orders in several states. So people started stockpiling booze and retail sales skyrocketed, up to 55% in March of 2020. Miller Lite is now making candles that smell like a dive bar. The candles come in 3 scents: Game Day Bar, Dive Bar, and Beer Garden. Game Day Bar reportedly features hints of peanut, jalapeno, and cracked leather. Dive Bar smells like musk, tobacco, pine, and yeast. Miller says the 3rd scent, Beer Garden, is a blend of green moss, warm pretzel, cracked wood, and sunburn. How do you make the smell of sunburn? The candles can supposedly burn for 50 hours. Each one is $20, with proceeds going towards the hospitality industry via the U.S. Bartenders Guild. 7-Eleven is adding a drive-thru for its taco restaurant, Laredo Tacos, which can be found inside some of the convenience stores. Will be serving customers at one Dallas location for now. Drivers can order from the usual Mexican menu plus Slurpees. 7-Eleven says the drive-thru option is a way to serve customers in a socially distant manner. That's it for Money Watch. We'll be right back.
Earlier this morning, we announced the first spring sweepstakes code word. No bigs if you missed it. You got another opportunity tomorrow and Friday. So be on the lookout during our show right here on the KOAM Morning News and also the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. And once it's announced, all you have to do is go to KOAMnewsnow.com/code word, enter it for a chance to win a prize from our good friends at Indigo Sky Casino. So if you saw this morning's code but haven't entered it yet, remember, you have until the end of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 to do so, aka 8 a.m. Waiting on the wind to die down a little bit in the midst of shifting coming in from the west, but still picking up gusts in excess of 20 miles per hour there in Chanute and Nevada. Going to be right on par for our average temperature when it comes to this March 24th, which would be 63 degrees. As far as outside the mothership, with the twinkling lights in the background right there, we sit at 45 right now. Of course, we still got about just less than an hour before sunrise. Be here at 7:15. Low pressure now sitting north side of Kansas City that'll make its way toward the Great Lakes and then bookended by 2 high pressure systems. And that's going to, even with partly cloudy skies, it's still going to keep us on the quiet side here through most of the morning and most of the afternoon. Give a look at the light cloud cover there on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. Still do have a flood warning for the Osage River running until Friday morning. Nationally speaking, all the action really staying for the upper plains headed toward the Great Lakes. And yeah, even picked up a little March snow there at the late March snow along the Four Corners. Our temperatures very, very close together. Not a whole lot of variation here. 45 in Joplin, 43 in Independence, and 46s in both Fort Scott and Nevada. As far as what we're going to have for our weather trend today, be able to make it up into the 60s later on. And then we're going to talk about our rain that's going to move in. Let's backtrack a little bit because it's going to work from the south. This is what we'll pay attention to. Like I said, most of the afternoon, we're just fine. A little scattered light rain there for tonight. But it's really once we get past midnight, we begin to pick up. And it'll be on us Thursday afternoon. We're going to get a good band of rain right here with thunderstorm activity that'll push off to the east, say, lasting in between 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Thursday. Temperatures right back into the high 60s there for Friday and Saturday. Now let's go back to Jesse out at the Farlington Fish Hatchery.
Well, you guys, we're here at the hatchery and we are joined by Dan Mosier II, who, I mean, first question for you is, was Dan Mosier the inspiration for you getting into this line of work?
Kind of, Jesse. My dad was big on taking kids out to be out in the world, out in the streams and woodlands, and we didn't do a lot of watching ball games on weekends. We went outside and we played outside.
Well, you've been here now for 35 years, you said. I mean, what's going on here and how has it evolved over the years?
Oh my, we're always trying to make advancements here in our infrastructure, especially to be able to produce more fish and more fish efficiently. The primary purpose here is sport fish restoration, so maintenance and restoration of sport fish populations in the state of Kansas.
So can you explain why that's important and why you guys play an integral role in sort of maintaining the populations and keeping them healthy? Because I don't think people might understand that.
It's outdoor recreation is often overlooked as on importance. There are a lot of people that highly value their outdoor recreation, and we're kind of a small part of that, but it goes right along with trying to provide the better experience for the fishermen in the state of Kansas, and then other parts of our agency are working towards wildlife, wild game, wildlife viewing in general for those people who don't hunt or fish, but will just like to be outdoors and enjoy a quality outdoor life.
Can you explain to me what you guys are doing here today and why this is sort of a big part of what you guys do?
Today, this is kind of the start of our culture season here. Our fish culture here is considered warm water fish culture, so primary species are suited to warmer waters. Today we're bringing in fish that we held over winter, bringing in channel catfish fingerlings that we held over winter. We're grading those to size, and then the larger of those will go out to a couple of different rearing ponds where they'll get another growing season before they get stocked out into lakes and reservoirs.
Hey, we really, really appreciate you showing us around here and being able to provide Kansas with some healthy fish.
Okay, well, thanks for coming out.
Topping Health Watch this morning, millions of Americans are getting vaccinated against COVID-19, but a warning from several government agencies: what you share on social media about your vaccine could make you a target for scammers. Mandy Gaither explains.
After more than a year of the pandemic, you may find yourself wanting to show your excitement over getting a vaccine, but be careful what you share on social media.
Happily tell everybody you got the vaccine, but there's no need to take a picture of the card and provide all that information to anybody who can see the photo.
Nanette Day, an official with the Department of Health and Human Services, says vaccination cards have personal information, including birth date, vaccine type, and where the vaccine was given. Posting a picture of it could make you a target.
It puts together a picture for you, and when the fraudster knows more about you, they seem more legitimate to you, and you're more likely to fall for the fraud.
Day says people who have been vaccinated could also be targeted by email.
One of the things that we're seeing now attached to that is a widespread email campaign telling people that if they got the Moderna vaccine, that they should fill out a survey about their experience and they will receive some benefit.
The benefit never comes. It's a scam. Day says don't respond to unsolicited calls, texts, or emails about the vaccine.
We had a complaint yesterday where the person provided photographs of their driver's license, photograph of their social security card, and their Medicare number to a completely fraudulent and unsolicited contact.
If you need vaccine information, go to a legitimate source like your state or county health department's website. For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Day says if there's an elderly person close to you, help them by making sure they know how to spot these frauds so they don't become a victim. Well, you definitely want to keep the card you get after you've been vaccinated against COVID-19 safe, and that's why Staples is offering to laminate the paper cards for free. Just bring in your Centers for Disease Control and Prevention issued card after receiving your second dose. Staples will laminate it for you at no charge. The offer is good at locations throughout the country until April 3rd. So far, no major travel benefits or event attendance has opened exclusively to people who have been vaccinated. The Biden administration is extending the enrollment period for the Affordable Care Act. On Tuesday, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid says the new deadline for special enrollment has been pushed back to August 15th. The extension will give Americans more time to sign up or change their insurance in light of the increased subsidies from the recently enacted pandemic aid package. The special open enrollment period began February 15th to help people who had lost jobs because of the pandemic get health insurance coverage. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Creeping ever so closer to sunrise that is officially on us at 7:15 this morning. Partly cloudy skies. Winds should die down a little bit as we progress into the afternoon. And then after the noontime calm, we begin to pick up rain. We're really going to be on us here Thursday afternoon. Good band of thunderstorm activity going to roll through from the south. Really kind of dominates southwest Missouri right there. Clearing off there Thursday night into Friday morning. Cooler on Thursday, that's for sure. About a 10-degree difference from where we'll be today. And then back up into the high 60s on Friday and Saturday.
Joplin puts the spotlight on one of its most well-known buildings for the city's 148th birthday. Plus new information in a Greene County, Missouri triple homicide and why a new degree program at Pitt State could make it easier to enter the education field.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. We've got a cloudy, cool day ahead of us, but there's rain in the forecast. Here's Michael with a check of the weather.
Light cloud cover, Tanya, preventing us from seeing a whole bunch of light outside the mothership. A live look from our Television City Tower camera. 45 degrees is where we stand. Winds in the midst of shifting right now, presenting us with just a little difference as far as the wind chill goes. On the dry side, every now and then you get a quick peek of the moon. 46 in Pittsburgh, 45 in the Osho, and 47, not too bad, in Chanute. Low pressure system going to force everything to the upper plains toward the Great Lakes for us today. We'll concentrate on what's going to develop down south later afternoon and evening hours. Our weather trend is going to put us up into the high 50s, low 60s, with that cloud cover just kind of hanging on. And we turn our attention to overnights because that's when our rain will really begin to work. And we'll be scattered tonight, nothing severe. It's really after midnight we begin to pick up. Number one, the rain becomes more widespread for Thursday morning. Number two, during the afternoon hours, that's when we get a good band that wants to roll up from Oklahoma right there. Really in between about, say, 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. That's a heavy, heavy rain. We'll have some thunder and lightning with that for Thursday as well until it makes its way east towards St. Louis. Clearing off on Friday, and our temperatures are going to be up into the high 60s there for both Friday and Saturday. Scattered rain chances, not as widespread as what we'll see on Thursday. And then really looking forward to Sunday and Monday right there. Not only nice temperatures, but at least we got a couple panels in there where we don't have a shot for rain next week.
Well, I'll be ready for a break from the rain when it finally comes.
It'd be nice to have a little break. Today's not, I mean, our Wednesday morning and afternoon are going to be just fine.
Yeah, but we still have mud on the ground from the last batch of rain.
Right, and we're going to go right back at it Thursday.
There you go. All right, thanks, Michael. City of Joplin turned 148 years old yesterday, and it was celebrated by remembering one of the buildings that shaped the city's history. You've probably heard of the Connor Hotel. if you've lived in Joplin long enough. And you've probably heard the tragic tale of its collapse on November 11th, 1978. But what you may not know is the legacy it left behind. It opened in 1908 after 2 years of construction. The 8-story structure was the place to be for the high society folks in Joplin. Many people stayed in the luxurious hotel, including Eleanor Roosevelt and Harry Truman. Dr. Chad Stebbins from MSSU decided to write a book about the Connor Hotel.
It is so meaningful to our past, and it has even more meaning since there's nothing there left. And so how do we tell those stories but through rich stories, and Chad captured that very well.
And it tells the story from beginning to end, the magnificent building that Tom Connor, Joplin's mining king, created, $1 million hotel, had every extravagance known to man at the time.
It took Stebbins 4 years to research all the material for the book. The Greene County, Missouri prosecutor says a man killed his wife and her parents over the weekend because the in-laws arrived for a visit and they wouldn't leave. The shooting happened Saturday near Strafford just after 6:30 p.m. Officials say the suspect, 50-year-old Jesse Hugh, called 911 saying he had just killed 3 of his family members at his home. Hugh is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of 48-year-old Tanya Hugh and her parents, 71-year-old Ronald Kohler and 78-year-old Linda Kohler of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The parents had arrived for a visit after Tanya Hugh's recent back surgery. St. Louis man is asking Missouri to reimburse him for travel after he drove more than 100 miles one way to receive his COVID vaccine. Emma Hogg reports.
Lining up on sites. State of Missouri, St. Louis County, BJC.
After signing up on almost every pre-registration list, Michael Meredith was growing impatient. The 68-year-old says the only appointment he could find was in Canton, Missouri, about 140 miles north of St. Louis. He made the 6-hour round trip from Creve Coeur for his first dose last month.
To be honest, in my personal, humble, layman's opinion, I think that the way the vaccination program has been handled, it borders on criminal.
Meredith says his emails complaining to the state don't get answered, so now he's trying a different route, trying to get Governor Mike Parson's attention in an unconventional way.
I'm going to do a reimbursement invoice.
Meredith sent this reimbursement form to Governor Parson and State Health Director Dr. Randall Williams, charging them $121.26 for the 282-mile round-trip drive.
I looked online, and the Office of Administration has a number of 43 cents a mile for Missouri State employees. So I figure if it's good enough for Missouri State employees, it's good enough for me.
Recently, supplies increased dramatically in the St. Louis area as long-awaited mass vaccine events are scheduled throughout the region. But for weeks, News 4 has heard from dozens of viewers like Meredith who've driven hours to get their shots.
It took like 3 hours drive from here.
Albert Enan, who's battling leukemia, drove 220 miles from O'Fallon, Missouri to Caruthersville to get his vaccine. A road trip, he says, was crucial.
Forget about like a COVID, even like a simple flu could kill me. So that's why I was just really anxious to get it.
It's just been poorly handled from day one.
Tuesday, Meredith will make another trip to Canton for his second shot. He says it's not about making money, but rather making a point and getting a response from state leaders.
Ideally, I'd like to hear Governor Parson say, you know, we messed up. Oops, sorry about that. We can do better.
Again, that was Emma Hogue reporting. The governor's office has not responded to questions about whether the state plans to reimburse Missourians for travel connected to vaccinations. Pittsburgh State University is going online with its new degree option. It's an Associate of Applied Science and Career and Technical Education degree. It's for people who'd like to teach in their current career field at a high school or community college.
And some actually will complete it within a year time frame. But it really depends on the credit hours that they have coming in, and we just help them to develop a plan that they can really get through and get finished with it.
Try to get me on the right path for my career, or to achieve my associates and working on towards my bachelor's, of course. they're just so helpful, helping me plan that, the ease in communication.
The new program officially starts this fall. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, remembering the victims.
Learning more about the victims and the suspect in Colorado's deadly supermarket shooting. I'm Elise Preston with a look at how the tragedy is recharging the nation's gun control debate.
Plus, for our Something to Talk About, we're asking, should there be more gun control? We let you weigh in, but first, it's 6:37.
7:15 is going to be the magic time for sunrise over Joplin. Partly cloudy skies, but a quiet morning and afternoon. We won't pick up rain till later tonight, and then after we turn midnight into Thursday, then the action really picks up. Best shot for thunderstorm activity in between 2 and 7 tomorrow afternoon and evening. Rebounding into the high 60s for Friday and Saturday with Nation Watch next.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, the U.S. Postal Service says it has to raise prices and reduce services to stay afloat. On Tuesday, the agency unveiled a 10-year plan that includes slower deliveries and higher fees. It also calls for closing some post offices while reducing the hours at other locations. The shooting suspect in the Boulder, Colorado mass shooting will be in court tomorrow. Investigators are still searching for a motive. 10 people were killed. CBS's Elise Preston has more on who they were and the recharged effort in Washington to tackle gun control.
Friends and family are remembering those killed in Monday's mass shooting at a Colorado supermarket.
Heart-wrenching to see loss come so quickly and just so rapidly.
The 10 victims range in age from 20 to 65. Denny Stong was the youngest.
He is one of the heroes from yesterday.
49-year-old Trelona Barkowiak recently got engaged.
She was the most loving person I've ever met in my life.
And 61-year-old Kevin Mahoney has a granddaughter on the way.
He was just a wonderful, wonderful man who didn't deserve this at all. We're devastated as a community.
The suspect, 21-year-old Ahmad Alyssa, is facing 10 counts of first-degree murder.
The investigation is really in its early stages, and we're going to work incredibly hard to see it through to completion.
Common sense steps.
President Biden called on Congress to reinstitute a ban on assault weapons and large-capacity magazines.
There was law for the longest time, and it brought down these mass killings. We should do it again.
Earlier this month, House Democrats passed 2 bills expanding background checks.
The bill is passed.
But during a Senate committee hearing about guns yesterday, Republicans showed no signs they were on the same page.
And every time there's a shooting, we play this ridiculous theater where this committee gets together and proposes a bunch of laws that would do nothing to stop these murders.
The White House lowered the flag for the victims just hours after raising it following last week's Atlanta shootings. Elise Preston, CBS News.
Senate Democrats face more hurdles than just Republicans. At least one of their own, West Virginia's Joe Manchin, also opposes the background check bills. Meanwhile, we're learning a bit more about the 21-year-old shooting suspect. He was born in Syria but grew up in the United States. His brother told the Daily Beast he believes Alyssa is mentally ill, describing him as paranoid and antisocial. That's a look at today's top national stories. Let's check back in with Michael for our Something to Talk About.
On the Facebook page this morning, asking if you believe there should be more or less gun control. We will pick up our comments with John Trebian, or Tito Barnes, excuse me. I'll get to John here in a second. Tito writes, no, these people need to stop trying to infringe upon American rights and do something good for this country. John says, leave the guns alone and start punishing the criminals. Good morning, and good morning, America. Good morning, John. Michelle Passini says, morning, 4 states. Morning, Michelle. Better background checks, absolutely. Banning guns, absolutely not. We are built on our Constitution. Cannot pick and choose parts you agree or disagree with, just like the Bible. By the way, on a happier note, yesterday was National Puppy Day, and there's Michelle's crew. Michael Arrowwood says, I think bullets should cost $5,000 a piece, then there would not be any more innocent bystanders. And how big a boy are you, Roy D. Mercer? We'll get out on a light note. Roy says, I guess this means I won't be able to wear my sleeveless shirts anymore. On the KOAM News Now Insta poll, 64% of you say there should not be any new gun control. still make your voice heard. Just go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Celebrate, perhaps, if I can get that word out of my mouth. We're going to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries next.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero. Kenneth Shively, who was a member of the United States Air Force. He served in the Persian Gulf. His hometown, Walnut, Kansas. We're proud to salute Kenneth Shively, our four-state hero.
The birthday list begins with Winley Bean, who's celebrating her first birthday with a beautiful bow. A happy birthday to Winley in Girard.
The smile on her face is just adorable. Wow, pretty girl. Brooklyn Robinson, another pretty girl there, turning 6 years old in Thayer, Kansas. Happy birthday, Brooklyn.
Layla Sedgwick, she's big number 7 right there. And a happy birthday to Layla, who not only lives in Pryor, but Grandma sending her love, Layla, as well. Grandma's in Neosho.
All right, in Pittsburgh, Allie Wade, turning 12 years old this year. Hope you get some boat time here pretty soon. Happy birthday, Allie.
Out on the water. Absolutely love it there, Allie. Kennedy Mae Keller got a 12th birthday. I like that shot right there. Kennedy Mae, I want you to have a marvelous day, kiddo. She's in McCune.
All right, in Arcadia, Kansas, turning 31. It's time to celebrate for Kimmy Skaggs. Happy birthday.
We've got a milestone in Russell. And that's where we find Crystal Johnson as she celebrates her 50th birthday. Have a great day, Crystal.
All right. We've got former resident of Deerfield, Missouri, Petty Officer, 2nd Class, Mark Hickman Jr., who's now 62 years old. Happy birthday, Mr. Hickman.
Happy birthday, Mark.
We thank you for your service.
Kathy Alsder. I'd love to know the background of this picture right here. Kathy's celebrating her 64th birthday. Yeah, Kathy, we want to know the backstory to that. That's great.
Love it.
Oh, she's in Carthage, by the way.
I feel like saying Aflac right now, but that would be a commercial.
That's a good one. I didn't think about that.
I just feel like it needs to be inserted somewhere.
That's good.
Aflac. Okay, Mary Kay Mason is 78 years old and looking great there, Mary Kay, in Girard.
A couple Crestline birthdays. We'll kick it off with Ann Palmer, and a happy birthday to you. And Jason Ferris, he is also in Crestline celebrating a birthday. Now, I'm not sure how many years we credited Jeff and Andrea Scott, but I want to say that they're celebrating their 19th anniversary. So Jeff and Andrea, I apologize if I shortchanged you. Or maybe I was just looking down the road and maybe I gave you more time. I don't know. But congratulations to the Scotts as they are celebrated a birthday out in Fort Scott. How about that?
All right.
Happy birthday and happy anniversary to all. Here's where you can send them into birthdays@KOAMTV.com, or if you would like to use the website, KOAMnewsnow.com/birthdays. And now here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club. All you have to do is go to our website and sign up. And you know what? Once you do, you'll get special deals coming your way from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
Temperatures pretty much all close together. No wide range like what we've had past couple of mornings, anywhere from about 43 to 47 degrees. It'd be nice if the wind would calm down just a little bit. It's still working its way in with some gusts in excess of 20 miles per hour. It'll get a little bit better as it completes its shift and eventually works in just straight from the west instead of kind of swirling around on us. But yeah, look at that. Chanute and Nevada still registering 23 and 22 miles per hour respectively. Going to be able to push up into the high 50s, low 60s later on this afternoon. We'll keep all eyes down to the south. That's where we will begin some light scattered rain here for later tonight. And once we get into Thursday, then we're going to see the action as it moves in for the morning. That's still pretty light, but look at the afternoon right here. There's our good thunderstorm activity that's going to carry us from, say, about 2 p.m. to about 7, 8 tomorrow night. Going to clear off after that and then warm right back up for Friday and Saturday as we'll be in the high 60s. Be back, wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Hi.
Earlier this morning, we announced the first spring sweepstakes code word. If you missed it, do not worry. We've got additional opportunities for tomorrow and Friday. Just be on the lookout during the KOAM Morning News and the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 for that word. And once it's announced, KOAMnewsnow.com/code word. All you have to do is enter it for the chance to win a prize from our friends at Indigo Sky Casino. So if you saw this morning's code but have not entered it as of yet, remember you have until the end of KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 to do so. Say 8 a.m. Tanya?
All right, here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The mass shooting in Colorado came a week after 8 people were gunned down in Georgia. President Biden called on Congress to enact new laws regulating assault weapons and large capacity magazines. The president said the federal assault weapons ban that expired in 2004 should be renewed. A Greene County, Missouri prosecutor says a man killed his wife and her parents over the weekend because the in-laws arrived for a visit and they wouldn't leave. The shooting happened Saturday near Stratford just after 6:30 p.m. Officials say the suspect, 50-year-old Jesse Hugh, called 911 saying he had just killed 3 of his family members at his home. Hugh is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of 48-year-old Tanya Hugh and her parents, 71-year-old Ronald Kohler and 78-year-old Linda Kohler of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Parents had arrived for a visit after Tanya Hugh's recent back surgery. City of Joplin turned 148 years old yesterday, and it was celebrated by remembering one of the buildings that shaped the city's history. You've probably heard of the Connor Hotel if you lived in Joplin long enough. And you've probably heard the tragic tale of its collapse on November 11th, 1978. But what you may not know is the legacy it left behind. It opened in 1908 after 2 years of construction. The 8-story structure was the place to be for the high society folks in Joplin. Many people stayed in the luxurious hotel, including Eleanor Roosevelt and Harry Truman. Dr. Chad Stebbins from MSSU decided to write a book about the Connor Hotel. Pittsburgh State University is going online with its new degree option. It's an Associate of Applied Science and Career and Technical Education degree. It's for people who'd like to teach in their current career field at a high school or community college. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Clouds are going to hang around today, and so we'll go partly cloudy up to the high 50s, low 60s this afternoon, waiting on the wind to die down just a little bit. Don't have to worry about rain until we get into tonight. It'll start pretty light and scattered, but then once we get into Thursday morning, it's a little bit game on. The closer we get into the afternoon hours, that's some good thunderstorm activity from, say, about 2 to 8 p.m. 7-day forecast with cooler temps on Thursday as well, but then right back into the high 60s for Friday and Saturday.
Well, coming up today at noon, we're making a Fiesta rice skillet in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Got your morning news continuing on KOAM, CBS Morning News. That's coming up next.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues.
This morning, Jesse with a Wildcat Wednesday out at the Farlington Fish Hatchery. And also, too, a little trip to Crawford State Park.
Yeah, going to teach us a little pond management.
That's right. So we'll flip over there. And also, too, remember, I want to make sure you get that code word in before 8 a.m. as well. Wraps it up for this Wednesday edition. Have a great, safe day. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.